But first, let's get into it. What a week. Well, he got it. On Monday, I don't know if that was for you. On Monday, surrounded by his closest wife and billionaires, Donald Trump was sworn in as the nation's 47th president. No, it's not right. We all knew it was going to feel bad, but I was not personally prepared for how bad it actually feels. I wish I could just shut off the part of my brain that knows what's happening, like the characters in Severance or Joe Biden. We can't. We're running out of time. We're getting the last couple bites at that apple. Anyway, call me Garfield because boy did I hate this Monday. In retrospect, Trump's victory in 2017 was a more acute but ultimately shallower feeling. 2017 was like a jump scare. 2025 hits deeper in the psyche. It's a rounder and more fully realized sense of dread. It's not the part of the movie where you realize the monster is in the closet. It's the part of the movie where you realize the monster is your husband. On Friday, ahead of the inauguration, Trump announced that he would move the ceremony inside, citing the very cold weather, adding, I think unnecessarily, on such a big historic day, one cannot take the risk in regards to shrinkage. It's a weird thing to add. The extreme cold also complicated House Speaker Mike Johnson's pledge to say fuck Jimmy Carter and hoist the Capitol flags up to full staff for the day because the cords on the flagpoles froze. Good one, Jimmy, laughed God before simply watching as Trump canceled a bunch of cancer research. It was fun at the beginning. Back to reality by the end. Ahead of the ceremony, outgoing President Joe Biden greeted Trump at the White House. Welcome home. He said, welcome home. I can't claim to know what is in Biden's heart, but I know myself. And I would only give Trump that warmer welcome if I had taken a gallon of cow's milk, diluted it with some water, and then very lightly misted every curtain and carpet from the East Wing to the Oval Office. Oh, what was your plan? Human shit in the air vents? Sure, it's pointed, but it's instantly noticeable and solvable. Classic Democrat, classic institutionalist. You have to think longer term, and you have to think like a maniac. Think about how Trump would slowly be driven mad as day by day, a slightly musky odor gets worse and worse everywhere. Where is it coming from? It's coming from the fine mist of lactose. It's fun to think about. Trump's stop at the White House also gave us our first glimpse of Melania's inaugural day outfit. Looking like Carmen San Bernadino. The hat, it turns out, had a practical purpose. Couldn't get in there. People are always trying to read into Melania's outfits like she's sending us a message. And yeah, in a sense, all clothes send a message. You're born naked and the rest is drag and so forth. But it seems like it might be time we finally face the fact that the message Melania is saying is, I made peace with my choices long before you had any awareness of me or any desire to project your personal opinions onto my blank expression. And no one's even talking about the secret message encoded in Jill Biden's outfit. I like purple. As expected, mega-rich tech bros were the guests of honor at Trump's inauguration with Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, Google CEO Sundar Pichai, Apple CEO Tim Cook, TikTok CEO Xiaozi Chu, and White House CEO Elon Musk were all in attendance. More like the Capitol Brotunda. I feel like I'm dead. Kicking off his second inaugural address, Trump announced that the golden age of America begins right now. Well, more like the gold-plated age, shiny surface, but the inside is still fentanyl and wildfires. As he did 8 years ago, Trump painted a sunny, cheerful vision for America.
As we gather today, our government confronts a crisis of trust. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair.
Interesting message on corruption from the first president to accept payment via Zelle. While the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. If you'll indulge me for a moment, I once had a serious job. First of all, what is the word seemingly doing here? Are the columns not in complete disrepair? Or are you just not sure? But how can you not be sure? It's not a real column, it's a metaphor. And you are sure they're broken. You didn't couch broken. And the columns are not just broken. The columns lay broken. Now, you could argue that a column can be broken without being in disrepair, right? It's cracked in some way, part of the capital at the top of the column is chipped off, but these columns lay broken. And I am not sure how a column can lay broken while not being in disrepair, let alone complete disrepair, unless it literally just fell down, which would be a weird and strange point to make. So it would seem to me that we have found a great place to cut out a few words. It's something any decent speechwriter would catch, which is also strange because I was told we were finally making hiring decisions based on merit again. Best of luck to the best of the best. Our new president also weighed in on the devastating California wildfires.
They're raging through the houses and communities, even affecting some of the wealthiest and most powerful individuals in our country, some of whom are sitting here right now. They don't have a home any longer. That's interesting.
Well, when he's right, he's right. It is interesting. They're wealthy and powerful, but their houses burned down. They're homeless, but they have suits. Life is so full of contradictions. Love It or Leave It is brought to you by Manukora Honey. Are you looking for something simple and delicious to add to your wellness routine? Well, Manukora Honey is rich, creamy, and the most delicious honey you've ever had. It's ethically produced by Manukora's master beekeepers in the remote forests of New Zealand. Manukora Honey contains powerful nutrients to support immunity and gut health. The bees collect the nectar from the Manuka tea tree in New Zealand. Its nectar is packed with bioactives, and the honey that is produced has 3 times more antioxidants and prebiotics than your average honey. A special antibacterial compound called MGO also comes from the nectar of the tea tree. Manukora third-party tests every single harvest for MGO and makes these results available through their QR system. All you need is 1 heaped teaspoon each morning to get the most out of the amazing bioactives in Manuka. Additional usage throughout the day is fine, especially helping to cut out other sweeteners. It's a honey with superpowers. I always find that I use a lot of artificial sweeteners, and then I'm also reluctant to add sugar to things. And it's so great to have Manukora honey, which is healthy and a great way to add to your yogurt in the morning instead of other things or instead of honey. Highly recommend it. Now it's easier than ever to buy Manukora honey. Head to manukora.com/loveit to get $25 off the starter kit, which comes with an MGO 850 plus Manuka honey jar, 5 honey travel sticks, a wooden spoon, and a guidebook. That's manukora.com/loveit for $25 off your starter kit. manukora.com/loveit. Trump once again pledged to rename the Gulf of Mexico, drawing a visible laugh from one Hillary Clinton.
A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Gotta laugh. All right, listen. We're just letting this one go. He's gonna have this one. Who gives a fuck? This is the presidential equivalent of really, really caring about your birthday. This is Disney adult shit. Reprint the maps. I don't give a fuck. Just hours after Trump was sworn in, Elon Musk spoke at a celebratory rally at the Capital One Arena and made this gesture. Now, a lot of you have jumped to a pretty shocking conclusion, which is that this was a Nazi salute, which is ridiculous. This was just a wave gone wrong. I've seen it 1,000 times. You're excited, you try to wave, and you fuck up the choreo. Besides, immediately after, Elon Musk put out an unequivocal statement saying it was just an awkward hand gesture, he meant no association or offense, and that he was sorry. Oh, he didn't do that at all. He didn't do that at all. He had his pal Benjamin Netanyahu, obviously the head Jew, I guess, speak out on his behalf, and then Elon mocked the whole episode with a bunch of Nazi puns. And I have to say, Elon's jokes about all this, especially given his embrace of the German far right, rang a little Holocaust. But okay, let's say, hypothetically, in a moment of fervor, Elon Musk felt inspired to throw up a Siggy H, which he knew better than to admit. What's the message? That he has embraced far-right politics? That he's a troll who wants attention and power without any forbearance or humility in wielding it? That he doesn't feel accountable to anyone who would care? We already know this. Trump and his little coterie of goons are going to be coming at us with a lot. We don't need to focus on the signs of how bad this could get. It's bad right now. On the first day of his presidency, Donald Trump pardoned over 1,500 people convicted of federal crimes for their roles in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. No, that's wrong. The pardons and commutations included Proud Boys and others convicted of brutally assaulting the police officers who defended the Capitol. The QAnon shaman, who was also pardoned and released Monday, posted to X, "Thank you, President Trump. Now I'm gonna buy some motherfucking guns." Trump is fulfilling his campaign promise to release every prisoner in Arkham Asylum. Meanwhile, one free January 6th prisoner has already been arrested again on gun charges, and others will now know that if they do violence on Donald Trump's behalf, he will protect them. The president isn't supposed to have a private far-right goon squad. He already has the military, and that's just being greedy. The police officers who were injured, who were beaten and tased, and in some cases who had to beg for their lives, who showed up that day and did their jobs to protect Congress, protect members of Congress who now spit on that service, are, as one retired officer told The Times, angry, sad, and devastated. They too cannot believe how many nominations Amelia Perez received. It's polarizing. It's a polarizing film. I'm eager to see it. Trump also signed dozens of executive orders within hours of taking office. For example, Donald Trump pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement. So throw another log on California, I guess. Trump also ordered the country out of the World Health Organization. It was only going to work if I sold the cow. So good news, everybody. We don't have to worry about pandemics anymore. We're not going to know they're happening. Trump overturned several of Biden's executive orders on healthcare, including the one that lowered the cost of prescription drugs for people on Medicare and Medicaid. Drug prices will almost certainly skyrocket as a result, higher costs. Just like he promised. Trump also signed an order to stay the TikTok ban for 75 days, so his administration had an opportunity to determine the appropriate course forward. If you think this executive order did anything, go look for TikTok in the App Store. No luck finding it? To recap, first, a law was passed that said TikTok had to be removed from the App Store. Then, TikTok pretended the law said it had to shut down their servers in an attempt to mobilize their users. Next, Trump promised he'd sign a meaningless executive order that pretends to nullify this law. Finally, TikTok turned on the servers and said, Trump did it. It's the stupidest series of events I've ever seen in my entire life, only to be outdone by every single event for the rest of my life. In another executive order, Trump declared that the federal government will only recognize two biological sexes, male and female. Look, it's one thing to have the federal government only recognize two genders, but if they make that change on Hinge, I will kill myself. The president also signed an executive order claiming he could end birthright citizenship, despite the clear and unambiguous language in the Constitution. On Tuesday, 18 states sued, and a federal judge appointed by Ronald Reagan blocked the order, calling it blatantly unconstitutional. A judge appointed by Reagan? Boy, that will seem quaint after the next round of crimes for which Trump issues pardons. Yeah. Too much? Too much to think about. It's too close. It's too close to being something that could happen. Let's all sit with that feeling, the reality of how much worse it could get, even as we deal with how bad it is. It's day 5. In international boner news, we're changing subjects. French customs officials have issued a warning not to eat aphrodisiac honey, illegally imported honey mixed with erectile dysfunction medication, after record seizures of the product. There was so much of this horny honey on the black market, it even ended up in the rabbit feed all the way in England. And we actually have a picture of a rabbit high on this stuff going to fucking town. It's been a long week, so I do want to explain this joke. I was really trying to think of a way that Winnie the Pooh could have gotten stuck in something because of a boner. That's where this began. That he ate some of this corrupted honey, this godless honey, and he ended up with a big boner that got him stuck in a tree. Because, you know, sometimes he eats too much honey, he gets stuck places. Classic Winnie the Pooh. Wouldn't it be funny to imagine that happened, but boner-wise? Couldn't crack it. And then I thought, well, I looked for pictures of Winnie the Pooh stuck. And this one came up. I was like, well, what if the rabbit's back there? But that doesn't make sense. The rabbit doesn't eat honey. Winnie the Pooh eats honey. So then it's like, did some of Winnie the Pooh's honey get in the rabbit feed? But it doesn't matter. And let me tell you why. And this is because you so fundamentally associate honey with this world. That I think that's why it's okay. And finally, speaking of sore passages, Progresso announced an exciting new product in the cold and flu aisle. It's savory chicken soup flavored lozenges. That's right. Progresso's putting the bird ew in bird flu. All right.